Welcome to Off-Duty Engineer. I am Alan. This channel is for some of my scale modeling projects, plastic aircraft, wooden ships, and dioramas to display them. This is a summary of the scale model build of the Lancaster Mk1, titled S for Sugar. It is a Hachette Partworks magazine subscription kit of 125 weekly issues from 2010/2011. This 132 scale model is finished in a wireframe with bulkheads, frames, ribs and stringers, but with no skin. First, photos of the final result. This was a very interesting build. The kit is from Hachette Partworks from the UK. Subscription magazine kit, 125 issues, and this kit was issued in 2010/2011. The kit was passed on to me via the modeling club. This was very much appreciated. Thank you. This Lancaster Mk1, titled S for Sugar, was a significant aircraft in the history of the Royal Air Force during World War II. It completed 137 operational missions, making it one of the most mission-critical Lancasters to survive active service. The Lancaster S for Sugar is now held at the RAF Museum, Hendon in London, and recognised for its remarkable history and contribution to Bomber Command's night offensive on Germany. The large 8,000-pound cookie bomb shown has the inscription 100 not out on it to indicate it's 100th mission and still active. This kit would be a new skill set for me. I was looking forward to it. I received most of the magazines to start with, so I did not have to wait weekly for the next issues. From number 14 onwards, the mags were all there and sealed. This kit is very detailed. Fortunately, having the magazines all together, I could look ahead and group parts of the build. An example was to build all 4 engines together. The body construction is laser-cut wood fuselage bulkheads and wing ribs with hundreds of plastic stringers. Some parts are plastic, like the red fuel tanks and other parts. A lot of the parts are cast aluminium, notably the engines, some inside detail pieces, and the propellers and spinners. The main landing gear is of specific note. All cast aluminium parts, complete with locking mechanism for raised and lowered positions, and sprung struts. Very nice. The wheels are rubber, another nice touch. There is a lot of detail inside. See in these photographs. I added the brown camo as a light ghost coat to the top of the wings for effect, and added vinyl decals for the RAF roundels. Next is the detail of the Lancaster Mk1 Hachette kit. This Lancaster Mk1 in 132 scale is Hachette Partworks magazine subscription. Here is a cover of one of the mags. This image is issue number 82. The instructions in each magazine are really detailed, step by step. Congrats to the guy that did all that documentation, build, photos and post-editing. There is not much on YouTube on the build of this specific kit. I eventually did contact John's Model Making in the UK and a link to his full build. Thank you. Note that this is not to be confused with the Hachette Lancaster Mk3 kit that was a later subscription. This is well documented on YouTube. It is plastic based, complete with lighting and many extras. ScaleMates has this kit listed. Hachette tooled this in 2009. This seems correct because my kit was issued in 2010/2011. The first step was to sort and check all the magazines, which were missing, which were opened, which were still sealed. I had magazines number 14 onwards sealed. All looked good so far, so I decided to go ahead. The wingspan of the Lancaster at 132 scale would be almost 1 meter, so a lot of space would be needed. Here is an example of the detailed instructions. This is number 14. The skin supplied is thin aluminium sheet. Each has to be trimmed for shape and size and formed for curves. Each sheet has to be riveted from the rear following the stringer lines. The skin would have closed in the details, so painstakingly added inside. I decided not to add the skin and settled on the open wireframe result. Next is the building of the kit. This will just be a summary of the highlights of the build as a photo essay. Steps 1 to 4 and number 8 were partly completed as shown. From steps 5 to 13 the parts were there but not the magazine instructions. From number 14 onwards to final number 125, all the magazines were present and sealed with parts and instructions. Step number 14 is the center section of the aircraft, union of the wings and the fuselage. Stringers were added using superglue. These take time and patience. Top painted dark green and the bottom black. This assembly went well and set the tone for the rest of the construction. The cockpit section is painted black and some of the control panels are finished and added in. Next, the three sections of the back end of the fuselage are started to be constructed. Here is the progress so far. The other model there is my 1:72 scale Lancaster for comparison. Further construction, the rear sections of the inner wings, and the painting so far. Around step number 30 at this stage. Some more inside details done. The aircon units in front of the inner wings. The main two fuel tanks are added. Aluminium strips supplied were too difficult to glue to the nylon material of the tanks, so the strips were masked and airbrushed in an aluminium color. The inside flooring is prepared and fitted. Riveting is with a pinwheel from the back of the aluminium sheet, then sanded slightly and coated with a clear spray. Here are the engine control panels for the inner two engines. The two front undercarriage sets were done next. Fortunately, I could get the magazine ahead and do both at the same time. Starting at steps number 39 and 85, spread over many issues. The undercarriage mechanics are beautifully designed. The wheels can be retracted and lowered. An over-centered design makes the wheels stay in place up or down. There are even springs in the front struts for suspension. Soft rubber tires. Brilliant. Step number 77 onwards started the starboard wing. I had the port wing mostly complete, but no instructions, so I could use this information to copy, especially for the wingtips. Step number 90. A sort of reverse engineering, remembering the symmetry. This worked well. The starboard wing has two additional fuel tanks that the port wing does not have. Here is the progress so far. You can see the results and the plane unfolding. Keen to move along now. Some more inside detail done. It is difficult to place the parts inside the fuselage sections because it is now a cylinder with the outer strings in place. There is also limited location registration for the parts, so glue, tweezers and lots of patience is needed. Following steps number 53 and 67 for the trailing flaps to be done together. Here is the progress so far. Some more inside details done. The parts tend to stick more readily to the tweezers and fingers than to the intended location. Persevere. Multiple steps could be done together for the two tailplanes. Horizontal stabilizers and elevators with trim tabs. Vertical planes and rudders with trim tabs. Port and starboard wing elevators are done at the same time. The parts needed to be clamped to make them straight while gluing and setting. Then 1.5mm diameter brass rod was used to keep them straight, rather than the nylon rod supplied. Here is painting in my updated spray booth corner design. More details are added inside the fuselage. The door is added, it can open, and the tail wheel is added. Now finally get to glue the rear fuselage sections together. Quite a big decision and step, this cannot be undone. A quick paint touch-up is needed. The navigator section in the cockpit has instrumentation, desk and map added. The map is actually of Dresden, very appropriate. Next, all 4 engines could be assembled and painted at the same time. The engine and parts are all solid cast aluminium, quite heavy. Saved a lot of time, rather than doing one every 6 weeks or so, as the magazines would have arrived. Propellers and spinners could be done together, as well as the 9 500-pound bombs, all collected from a range of magazine steps. Airbrush all together saves time and better consistency. Having decided on no skin on the outside and just show the wireframe result, I decided to do a very light ghost coat of camo brown on the green on the tops of the wings. This would create an interest and some colour texture. The result actually looked great. 2 of the gun turrets and glassware were next, the dorsal turret and the tail turret, prepping the insides, masking and spraying the glass. The main cockpit canopy was masked and sprayed. It took time with the many glass panels on it. But the result turned out really good. I polished out the canopy and other glassware with Rain X, a rain repellent that adds a silicone layer to the glass. This clarifies and protects the result. All glassware, including the nose turret, was ready. Next was to glue the rear fuselage section to the wing section. Another big step. The outer wings could now be glued to the main section. Observe the dihedral to the wingtips. I added a few strengthening gussets in as well. Then complete the short stringers at the join and paint the result to match in. I also sprayed a few layers of clear over all the sections to make the paint more resilient. Now the cockpit and nose section can be glued to the rest of the plane. Next was the navigation and formation flying lights. The pilot figure was prepared and painted and then fitted in with a control column. The main canopy is held in place with 2 magnets so it can easily be removed. Magnets were also used on the flaps so that it could be opened and would pop back closed. The engines are fitted together with the clear covers. This needed careful checking that 6.5 mm of the shaft protruded for fixing of the propellers. I decided not to fit the bomb bay doors because these would be too fragile and would break during handling. Rather safe than sorry. The 9 500-pound bombs were fitted. A cookie bomb was made, it was missing from the kit, so I made it from my Pandora's box of goodies. The 100 knot-out decal on the 8,000-pound cookie bomb was in the kit. It celebrated the 100th sortie of this S for Sugar Lancaster. The Lancaster went on to do over 130 sorties, in league with the most completed in World War II. The clear covers behind the engines could be fitted next. I added vinyl decals for the roundels on the tops of the wings and the sides of the fuselage. Next, the tail planes could be glued in. Finally, the 4 propellers. All complete. An area was prepared for taking photographs. Here is a summary. I have the advantage of having all the magazines at once, so I could look ahead and consolidate the build, saving hundreds of hours. And the outer skin would have taken at least another 50 hours. The skills and tools required are quite advanced, especially with the accuracy required and the details. A lot of patience is required in fitting the parts together. Yes, I would try another Hachette model, magazine subscription style, but I would definitely get the whole set together before starting. I have the Hachette Endeavour ship model, the magazines, and it has also been partly started. This is different to my usual subject selection, so I might do that sometime in the future. Here is a spoiler for the next model from my stash that I may build. Another planned model is the ubiquitous G6 Rhino. This is a 150mm howitzer on a 6-wheel base. It was developed by the South African Defence Force to replace the Centurion tank that did not perform well in the desert sand of northern Namibia. I plan to diorama 2 of these, one clean and ready to go, and the other one just back from battle, scarred and in need of attention. Please keep a lookout on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn for the post. Thank you. Here is a quick look at some of my recent models completed. Some of these took first and second prizes at recent competitions. You can see all my scale model builds on YouTube at OffDutyEngineer 57. My credo is create, inspire, enjoy. Thank you. That is all. I hope that you enjoyed this. Please follow, like, subscribe, etc. See you next time. Thank you.